Emmy rewards transphobia with nomination for Dave Chappelle's The Closer. Of course they did, right?
Nice headline.
It's always confusing to me that they don't understand that their butt madness makes people want to support him more.
Right?
Reverse psychology is a thing, folks.
And it's every single time. In the language, there was a couple of parts of this article. It was almost more the way this article was written that made me want to cover it more than the actual...
I mean, the opener, already floored me. Cancel culture is really not as effective as we were promised because Dave Chappelle continues to succeed on the strength of virulent
Are they saying that as a bad thing? Like, they wish he'd been canceled?
I mean... I know that a lot of people still practice cancel culture, but at least on the surface, you're generally supposed to say it's a bad thing.
Yes.
Not just openly be totally pro depersoning.
Right.
It's good when we do it, is what they're saying.
Of course.
Is what they're saying. So it says, so yes, like you said, I love that this is on the strength of virulent transphobia.
Oh my.
Could your hyperbole be any more? It was like 5 jokes in the whole special.
It's like the first sentence of the article.
They're rewarding transphobia.
His controversial next Netflix special, The Closer, was nominated for an Emmy on Tuesday, once again proving that the woke mob hasn't done much damage to his career at all.
Good.
It is also interesting that they use the term woke mob at the AV. I tend to avoid AV Club articles a lot of the time because I want to roll. I usually I already had a migraine today. I didn't need another one from rolling my eyes so heavily.
Well, it's odd that they would pair woke mob and frame cancel culture as a positive force.
Don't like that.
But they did.
I guess they're proud of their pitchforks.
They love it. They probably have branded pitchforks with different flags on them.
Yeah, Gucci.
So it says, Chappelle has been on the anti-trans beat for a while. It's something of a case du jour among wealthy celebs who apparently have nothing better to do. I will say that I do think that he's dangerously getting himself close to pigeonholing himself as the anti-trans guy.
Yeah. We talked about that before.
Yeah.
He's like a Pierce Morgan in comedy that... Yeah. If you can only joke about one thing, it's not really pushing boundaries anymore.
But it's not that he's doing that. It's that that's what gets the press out of everything. Like, he posts a whole special, but the stuff that gets all the attention is those jokes because he dares make them.
Sure, but he
not
plays
the other
into
jokes.
that attention, and then calling himself Team Turf definitely plays into the fact that that's all the spotlight. I mean, that's just a strange comment on its own because I didn't get the impression that Dave Chappelle is a radical feminist.
Nope.
No.
But also we need to realize that no one in real life even knows what turf is or means, and that's a good thing.
If you asked the average person out on the street what the hell a turf was, they would have no idea.
Yeah, and if you tried to explain it to them, then you would seem like an insane person, rightly so.
Yeah.
I was watching a video the other day from Zach from Comics Matter, and he talks about normies are finally starting to wake up to what's going on in the world.
Are they?
It's like people went and saw Thor: Love and Thunder, and they're like, why was Korg's whole backstory retconned? Why was that retconned? And he's talking about basically
Rock
the idea
babies.
is why is everything changing? Why is every commercial look a certain way? Why is it? And people are it's not that it's bad. It's just very noticeable and blatant. And regular people who just don't pay attention to this stuff are starting to notice it. He was talking about Harry's razors and Jeremy's razors and the competing razors markets that we now have, even though they're all coming from the same factories. You're now buying your razors on ideological lines, which is hilarious.
And dystopian.
So he says Netflix, which has a very expensive deal with Chappelle, and they just released a new special last week with no fanfare whatsoever. I haven't gotten around to watching it yet.
What's that titled?
Yeah. I don't know. It's 40 minutes long. I haven't watched it yet, but they didn't really advertise it very heavily. Huh. It wasn't on the front page of Netflix or anything. So it says they have repeatedly and unreservedly defended his work under the guise of, and they put it in quotes here, creative and artistic freedom.
Scare quotes.
In a previous statement, co-CEO Ted Sarandos expressed that the employees that, quote, sometimes there will be things on Netflix that you dislike that you even find to be harmful. First of all, that's bull. I'm sick of them calling people saying mean things harmful. Even in the context of what he's saying, it's annoying.
Mm-hmm. Well, even if it is, you have to weigh the risk of watching something that might upset you. That's all
voluntary.
Entertainment.
Yeah.
But I am almost just as skeptical for different reasons that there is a facade of promoting creative freedom and artistic expression on Netflix. I don't believe that that's the case at all, but I think that they're invested in appearing that way.
So he says, where we'll definitely draw the line is on something that would intentionally call for physically harming other people or even remove protections. For me, intent to cause physical harm crosses the line for sure. The disregard for the real harm that platforming transphobia does to an extremely vulnerable population is paid off with Emmy nominations. I want to know what they mean by real harm.
Yeah, okay. I know exactly what they mean because this is what they do with so many other issues and so many other protected groups. Is in a way they kind of hold them hostage in order to boss people around.
Yes.
With their language and their beliefs and their actions. They're saying you are literally risking people's lives by making a joke like this.
And then you say, how am I risking their lives? And they can't really explain it. I guess the idea is like if Dave Chappelle tells a joke about somebody, whether it be white people, black people, trans people, gay people, that other people will hear that joke and then attack someone in the street because that's...
I'm no expert on it. I'm sure there are some statistics that back up that like trans people are the victim of violent crimes more often.
Yeah, so this is the inversion of words and violence. So you know how they started to say words are violence, and then in the summer of 2020 they started saying violence isn't violence. So now they can just say, well, this word is violence, but the actual violence that I'm committing against your business is not,
because it's because you're repaying what was already done to you.
Reparations,
yes.
Right? But it's a classic inversion, and it's them saying this is for the cause, therefore it is good.
Yep. So it says they also say that he's faced no true consequences, when I very distinctly remember him getting attacked on stage, and they even dismissed this on him.
Yeah. No true consequences except for having an
gun
attempt
knife
made on your life.
Yeah, no big deal.
A literal harm on your person.
And I have no idea. And they're like, and they talk about here. They say no true consequences for his hurtful speech, though he has tried to make some up by baselessly accusing an onstage attacker of being a trans man. That's not baseless.
That wasn't
the
even
guy wasn't
a
trans.
serious accusation.
No.
He was making a joke about it because he wasn't fazed by being physically attacked, which is cool.
Good for him.
And what happened is that guy admitted later. He said that he found Chappelle's words triggering, and
the dude seemed like he was a bit of an obsessed stalker in a way.
Unstable,
like he made a song that was titled after Dave Chappelle.
Gosh.
And admitted that, he made up different reasons for why he did it, but ultimately it was an ideological attack.
So the most concrete example of violence here is it being done to him, which I guess that should be his right to be able to make jokes if he thinks, maybe
right.
Hollywood still needs to be hiring better security guards because they're clearly very bad at that.
Yeah.
But so the critics hate it, of course. It's got 40% on Rotten Tomatoes from critics, 95% from audience score. And it's the Emmy it's nominated for is like Best Variety Special and Best Directing in a Variety Special. So it's nominated for 2. And he has won before. He won in 2004 and 2005, I believe, for something similar. So then there's people are mad. All of the headlines from supposed publications that are like journalistic endeavors, I guess if you want to call them journalist sites or just if you want to call them trades, they all mention the word. So it says, Dave Chappelle getting Emmy noms for his transphobic special is just disgusting. Do better, TV Academy.
Do better.
Do better.
The problem I have is just that there are too many awards.
Yeah, that's the real problem here.
There are too many extremely niche awards, and
no one cares.
It's
no
oversaturated.
It. Yeah,
they're the people actually physically attending the event are the only ones that actually care.
Emmys reward transphobia with nomination for Dave Chappelle's The Closer. I would argue that the nomination is for what's literally called the Variety Special. They're criticizing one small part of a very large production, but they believe that because what they believe that you're criticizing is sacred, you shouldn't be allowed to do that or hold the whole thing in strong regard because one thing angered them.
Yeah.
It says Dave Chappelle's The Closer, for which he was criticized once again for punching down, and I hate that language, on the LGBTQ community, is up for an outstanding variety special Emmy. I hate the concept of punching down because that means that they believe that it's okay to punch up, which means that they think it's okay to punch as long as it's who they believe deserves it.
The language of punching up versus punching down is talking about jokes, right?
Yeah.
Not literal violence.
But they're saying that you can make jokes, but there's rules and stringent things in place that say whether you can joke
But
about
you
this
you
group.
can't make any jokes about people who are placed under you in the totem pole.
On the progressive stack, you
Yeah,
can only
yeah.
insult people who go above you.
Yeah, and that is ridiculous, but also it does it gets at some kernel of truth and then manipulates it, which is that in order for something to be funny, it does need to catch people off guard in some way.
Yeah.
And it's true that if you're expected to make a joke at a certain group's expense because you've pigeonholed yourself, then it's not very funny.
Yep.
So the punching up and punching down thing, it's another small truth that they've twisted.
Yep.
And turned upside down to make their point about power plus privilege.
I always hated the one thing that I used to love is when they used to do mean tweets on
That was great.
it was great because
I like that.
it was allowed to let celebrities be kind of put in their place in a funny way that was not meant to be harmful, and they've kind of taken that
Sure.
I got annoyed when celebrities would then push back on some Joe Schmo on the internet. You're a rich, famous
That
person.
is punching down.
That's
That actually is.
I didn't think it was funny, but I got why they push back, because if you're a celebrity, look, you're not looking at it okay, I'm rich and famous and this person isn't. They just said something that upset you, and I get why they would do so. But I think that's where a lot of this comes from now. Celebrities want to also be able to punch down, but
They do, yeah.
but you're not allowed to if you're part of specific groups. It's also confusing.
And they have different celebrities have gotten in trouble for exposing someone who DM'd them something hateful, and it's you can't do that. They don't have any followers compared to you, and you're inciting a mob against them.
Yep.
And
Which, if you're that person, you have to understand that if you're going to take the time to say something snide to a celebrity, just understand that there is personal responsibility there. If they push back on you, you kind of got yourself into that mess. But I don't think that the other person should be doing it either. I think it's stupid.
yeah, and I do think celebrities have it maybe more in the forefront of their mind that there's a status difference than you assume. That is their entire identity. That
Their status.
They believe that they're deserving
true.
of a superior
Yeah.
status than the rest of society.
So we've also got, if Dave Chappelle wasn't enough, we've got the Emmy. They literally do what's called an Emmy diversity report.
Oh my gosh!
Where they
why?
talk about
Great.
what's interesting about this is that they don't talk about the talent of the people. They just talk about what they look like.
Of
Well,
course.
this is from the controversy of Oscars So White. They
Yes.
had to respond. All of the award shows had to respond.
Yes.
Not just that.
Yep.
One.
And they have it right down to the number, and they do this.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's USC or one of the major universities does a Hollywood diversity report every year,
Right.
where they break down the demographics of every show that's literally produced in Hollywood, and then show it around racial, sexual, ethnic lines, which I think is actually really interesting. But it's the conclusions that they jump to. In a majority in a country that's nobody's looking at stuff produced in Africa and then talking about the diversity of
Or China.
Do you remember when they did at the Olympics when they had the Italian soccer team, and they're why is the Italian soccer team so
white.
not diverse?
Remember that?
It's
Yeah.
They're Italians. Shocking, I know, but it turns out they're probably gonna be white.
So it says, after performers of color notched a record 49 acting and reality hosting primetime Emmy nominations in 2021, the count this year has declined to 31, repping a 37% drop. Still, this year's figure is higher than 2019, where there was only 26 non-Caucasian actors and reality hosts. 3 Emmy categories were completely devoid of nominees from a diverse background: lead actress in a limited and anthology series, supporting actor in a limited and anthology series, and guest actress in a comedy series. There's a really great joke here about women not being funny, but I'm not going to make that joke. I'm not going to do it.
Wait, please do.
No.
That's probably
That's the joke.
funnier than them. Yeah.
I'm kidding. The TV Academy also came up short in recognizing Latino and Hispanic performers.
Oh, no.
Now this is what's weird. Recognizing. They're not asking you to recognize that you shouldn't be looking to recognize what they look like. You should be looking to recognize the work they did. What they look like should be secondary, because it's not your most interesting characteristic.
This is participation prize culture. this is it.
Yep.
You're black. You're in a movie. Oh my gosh, you get a prize. That's not all there is to it. It's a problem.
Oscar Isaac is fantastic. So like and all the names that are mentioned were like for the top half were ones that I recognize, like Sandra Oh. Zendaya just set a record for being the youngest 2-time nominated Emmy nominated actress. Which is like, I always make jokes about the idea of like the fake milestones,
like identity marker
milestones,
like, sure.
First person of this to be nominated on the third Wednesday of this month during the summer solstice.
Yeah.
I hate stuff like that.
Well, the one you just listed about Zendaya, I still feel like we're grasping at straws to make a milestone out of that. It's not exactly a landmark event that she's been nominated twice.
But for her age, I guess the idea that they didn't have to make it about a bunch of identity characteristics and just her age, I thought that was at least more normal. So it says Sandra Oh for lead actress in a drama series for Killing Eve, Zendaya for Euphoria, Quinta Brunson, I don't know. Obviously, I know Donald Glover, Oscar Isaac for lead actor in a limited anthology series. Like, there's a lot of really good actors on there, but the focus is in the wrong place.
Right.
The focus is nobody's talking about their performances. They're talking about what they look like.
Yeah.
And like,
Sad.
what a disservice to the ones who are nominated.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
To Oscar Isaac, to Zendaya, to Sandra Oh, who got there on their own merit because they're extremely gifted and talented actors. And it becomes about something so much less important than that. And that bothers me. But what I thought was interesting was also not Sandra Oh, but Anthony Anderson made it like a funny comment, because like one of the things when you look through all these articles, you see all the stuff about snubs. Who got like what Yellowstone didn't get any nominations this year. Anthony Anderson did what I think you should do in these cases, and he made a joke. He's just like, they're like, you weren't nominated for the final season of Blackish, and he's like, well, I'm not saying they're stupid, but they're racist. But he was kidding. He was joking. and that's what you should do. You should make a joke out of it, because he's saying it as a joke. They're saying it.
But it's interesting, because if he had said that in a serious tone, then people would definitely evaluate it like seriously and think, maybe they are racist for that. But with what you were saying about how they're only considering the least important factors of who they are, not the merits of their acting, and like Lydia, what you were saying, it's like participation award culture. A lot of people would say that this is patronizing and debasing to the actors.
Yeah.
But I don't even know if the actors have the same problem with it, because actors just want to be celebrated for anything, no matter what the circumstance. They don't care why. They don't care if they deserve it. In fact, their first assumption is that they always deserve a celebration.
Yeah, they're actors.
We're the ones complaining about it, but I don't think they care.
Yeah. Also, it is funny to note that the Oscars got nominated for an Emmy this year, not for the slap.
What?
Yes.
What does this mean?
I do think it's funny that the Oscars can be nominated for an Emmy.
That's awardception.
I thought that Emmys were only for like a series.
No, like Dave Chappelle's variety special. So this is up there for the nod for best variety special. So it's in the same category as Dave Chappelle. So who wins this year? Dave Chappelle for insulting trans people, or Will Smith for slapping the crap out of Chris Rock?
If they want people to care about award shows again, then this needs to be the sleazy material that we cover.
What they should do is just have celebrity boxing like Jake Paul on every single award show. Just right in the middle. Just who do you want to see? Idris Elba takes on Henry Cavill to play James Bond, and then they fight.
For casting direction.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
I like that.
I like that.
But celebrity, like mainstream celebrities, would never do that as easily as influencers do, because I don't know, influencers are still kind of seen as more like scrappy, and that's why Logan Paul does what he does.
And he's making a lot of money doing that, so he's the smart one out of all of them. We did have an article we were originally going to cover this week that was basically talking about how influencers are starting to like rethink Hollywood, which a lot of them want to make that natural transition into Hollywood, and some of them are rethinking that notion now.
Don't do that,
because Hollywood's almost like looking to. It's like when YouTube dumped a bunch of money into mainstream news. And it's like, why would you do that? You have the infrastructure in your own creators.
Blew my mind. The adpocalypse thing was so strange to me, because the argument was that advertisers deserve to pick and choose where they're advertised on YouTube. But because a YouTube video could be someone else's advertisement or their own representation of their brand or company, shouldn't they get to decide who advertises on their video as well?
You'd think
it's two-sided.
When you guys were doing right after Roe v. Wade, there was a Planned Parenthood ad on Timcast.
So good.
That was
Seamus was
like,
holding
that's
up
a
the
company.
cake. Yeah.
Timcast is a company
Right.
and a brand that represents itself on YouTube.
Yep.
A YouTube channel is a business, so why can't they decide who advertises on
That's a
their
good point.
business? It's like,
You should ask Tim.
yeah,
Great
it's
question.
it's soliciting.
Yep.
That's not legal.
all right.
It pisses me off.
There was one super chat there. It just says shotgun from
Shotgun.
from Dizwiz.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, trying to shoot dollars
Why
at
is it a
us.
question though?
I don't know. Why is it a question, Dizwiz? We need
What
to
the
know.
heck? Yeah.
All right, so I want to move on. We're going to talk about there's a bunch of Disney news that I thought was really interesting. The first being I had a conversation. By the way, this is the 1-year anniversary of my employment here.
Isn't that
1 year.
special? We should get you a cake.
That would have been good.
Come on,
And then we
guys.
could sing to you because you hate attention.
Let's
it's
let's
perfect.
not do that.
He's like, let's
It's
not.
like your birthday all over
Yeah,
again.
let's do it.
I literally had to make Mary not give me a cake
It
or
was
sing to me.
So hard for me
Yeah, it's
that we didn't do
disappointing,
anything
yeah.
for me for your birthday.
Sad.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.